One way to categorize personality types is with a system called the Enneagram. It describes how people perceive the world and how they manage their emotions. There are 9 different types. I am a type 1. Here's the good news. Ones have a sense of mission that leads them to want to improve the world in various ways, using whatever degree of influence they have. They strive to overcome adversity, particularly moral adversity, so that the human spirit can shine through and make a difference. They strive after higher values, even at the cost of great personal sacrifice. But like everyone, ones have a major flaw. And according to the Enneagram Institute, mine is self-righteous anger. Its website says, you get angry easily and are offended by what seems to you to be the perverse refusal of others to do the right thing as you have defined it. Try to step back and see that your anger alienates people so that they cannot hear many of the good things you have to say. Further, your own repressed anger may well be giving you an ulcer or high blood pressure and is a harbinger of worse things to come. As much as I would like to deny it, I can't. It's been said that the anger of ones is directed both at themselves for failing to live up to their ideals and at others for what ones see as their laziness and irresponsibility. As ones become more unhealthy, they displace more of their anger onto others as they make themselves the sole judge of who and what is right and wrong. Ouch. But ones aren't the only folks who are angry these days. We live in an age when anger is the great motivator. Politicians have learned how to use anger to their advantage by whipping up the crowd into a frenzy of hatred and outrage so that they will do anything the politician wants, even storm the U.S. Capitol or do violence to political opponents. Anger seems to be all the rage on social media these days, more than likely because angry thoughts have the tendency to spread the fastest on the social web. News media's digital profits depend upon keeping people clicking on their stories, and anger is a proven incentive for generating those clicks. So this morning's text, in which Jesus addresses the topic of anger, is a timely one. And so it might behoove us to sit up and take note of his words. While addressing the crowds, he point blankly compared anger to murder, saying the two were equally serious. But as he expounds on the matter, it feels as if the issue isn't as cut and dry as it at first sounded. He says if we call someone an idiot or a fool, then we are in danger of hellfire. But later in the Gospel of Matthew, we will hear him call the Pharisees fools. And in Mark's Gospel, we read that he looked at the Pharisees with anger before healing someone's withered hand on the Sabbath. And there's the incident recorded in all 4 Gospels of Jesus flipping tables in the temple. And in Mark's Gospel, the table flipping happened right after Jesus cursed a fig tree for not bearing fruit. So what's going on here? Is it okay for Jesus to get angry but not the rest of us? Well, it's important to know that anger isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it's what's needed to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. Like when ancient prophets got angry when widows and orphans were neglected and when the stranger wasn't provided with hospitality, or when Jesus got angry and overturned the table of money changers who were profiting from poor worshipers. The problem comes even with righteous anger when we are so angry that we do harm to other people, both physical harm and psychological harm through terrorism. The problem comes when we hold on to our anger because it gives us a sense of superiority and power while forgetting that Jesus modeled humbly serving others, not superiority and power. When we hold on to our anger, it isn't able to subside, and we aren't able to look for creative and constructive solutions to unjust actions and systems. The problem comes when anger becomes a way of life. We all know that special someone who seems to be angry all the time, don't we? They have nothing good to say about anyone or anything. It makes you wonder what happened to them. What trauma did they experience that made them this way? Completely unable to see the light of God's love in the world or in other people. The problem comes when anger interferes with relationships. And that's what I think is at the heart of this morning's text. Jesus was saying when anger causes relationships to be broken, we need to do whatever is necessary to restore them. In fact, that's what I think was at the core of Jesus' ministry, restoring broken relationships. With God, yes, but also with each other. When he told the paralytic to take up his mat and walk, when he healed the 10 lepers, when he banished a legion of demons from someone, in each case the healing restored the person to their community. Where before they had been pushed to live on the margins of society, now they belonged. When Jesus looked up into a sycamore tree and saw a tax collector who, although Jewish, was despised and cut off from his own people, Jesus declared Zacchaeus worthy by announcing that he, Jesus, would be spending the afternoon with the man. His parables, whether they featured lost coins, lost sheep, or lost sons, were about restored relationships. In John's Gospel, shortly before his death, he told his disciples, "I have other sheep that do not belong to this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice, so there will be one flock, one shepherd." For Jesus, relationships were key, and anger destroys relationships. So he said in this morning's text that if a person was going through the rituals of worship and remembers a grudge between them and another person, then don't waste another minute. Go and make things right with that person. Regardless of who caused the problem in the relationship, the person who becomes aware of the difficulty is responsible for taking steps toward reconciliation. Restored relationship, it would seem, is even more important than religious obligations. Anger is inevitable. It will come and hopefully it will go. But it's important to not allow it to control us in such a way that we do harm. Anger can be deadly. It can damage and destroy sometimes our opponents and even our loved ones. And we also kill ourselves when we hold on to it and let it fester. When writing to the church in Ephesus, Paul provided a list of rules for new life. Within that list, he wrote, "Be angry, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger." I think that's some good advice for all of us But if you prefer, you can take the advice of Thomas Jefferson. When angry, count to 10 before you speak. If very angry, count to 100. Bottom line, there's enough hatred and violence in this world, and we don't need to add to it with our own anger. And so, if possible, to the best of our ability, we should try to get along with everyone. Amen.